Elk man comes into the village. All the women wanted to be with this guy because he's so charming and so charismatic and good looking and just really wonderful. And uh and some of them are jealous because he chose this one girl. So they started heading back to this guy's where his people were. So they got to this really big river, and he told her that get on my back. She said, and I'll swim across. He said, just hang on to me real tight so you don't get carried away from the river. So so she said, okay. They found a part of the river where it wasn't too far. Yeah, it was the other side of the shore was close. Um, because I should have added they walked up and up the river bank to find a part where it wasn't so far apart, yeah, from the other shore, the other side, and they found a part. So then they crossed there, but it was still running fast. So that's why he told her, get on my back. I'll carry you across. I'll swim across and just hang on to my back. So she said, okay. So at this point, she could have thought to herself, if this is where he comes from, how come there's no boat? Yeah, how come there's no canoe? See, a clear-headed woman would have thought of that right away. But she didn't. Yeah, she had no clarity, so she just said, okay, I'll get on your back. Yeah, and so she was really admiring. Oh, his hair is so sexy. And she jumped on his back and, geez, so muscular. And so he started swimming across, and they got about halfway across, and there, because of the water, they were really getting wet, and his hair was really, really wet, and here enough water got on his hair that it parted in the back, and when the woman looked there, she saw a second face. Yeah, and she wouldn't have seen it, but it's one eye opened. Yeah, and she really, just before the eye closed, it smiled at her, and she didn't know what to think. Now, a sensible woman, like I said, she probably wouldn't have went this far because she would have said, if this is where you come from, why didn't you use a boat? And if he had said, well, it must have rained here, and so there's not that much, when I came through here, I just walked across. And she said, because remember, he spent quite some time with her people, yeah, to win their favor. So it could be true that maybe there wasn't that much water there earlier, yeah, yeah. So even if that was true, she could at this point she could have just let go and got away from him, swam away, because this is a monster. Yeah, he has a second face behind him on the back of his head. But she didn't let go. She just hung on. At first she was scared. Yeah, and she didn't know what to do. So when they got on the other side, he's really loving to her. Yeah, and he's, oh, are you okay? And I was kissing her and hugging her, and so that calmed her fear, and so she rationalized it away. Yeah, she just was like, okay, that's, I must be hallucinating. She started seeing, maybe it's just I'm nervous about meeting his people, and maybe I'm just hallucinating. Yeah, maybe that was me that I saw. And she's really coming up with all these excuses, to justify, that he's a good, that he is a good guy and stuff like that. See, she's lost clarity. Yeah, so she's doesn't want to admit that there's something wrong. She wants to stay in that emotion, to stay with that man, yeah, and because he's so charming and all these kind of things. So they start walking into the away from the river now, and they come to some trees in a wooded area, and they go in there, and they see a teepee. There's just one teepee there, and there's like skeletons laying around, yeah, and she's looking at, she sees these skeletons, and then she thinks, gee, he's a pretty good hunter. Yeah, so when we have children, we'll never be hungry, she says. So then she doesn't want to take a good look at the skeletons to see what kind of skeletons they are. Well, the fact is they're human skeletons. But she just glanced really quick, yeah? And I think a part of her knew that they were human skeletons, but she wanted to say, oh, they're buffalo, they're deer, she's really, really rationalizing things, yeah, away. And so then they go inside the teepee, and there's an old lady in there, and she's making a soup. And so they sit there, and this lady says, yeah, the soup is not going to be ready for a long time, she said. And so the man says, okay, so I'm gonna go out and pick some cherries and stuff, he said. And he said, why don't you get to know my new wife, he said. So the old lady said, mm-hmm. And so the woman started to talk to her new mother-in-law. Now, for those of you that know Lakota tradition, there's something wrong at this point. In Lakota tradition, once you get married, yeah, once you're with your partner, you do not talk to their parents from that time on, unless you separate. Okay. And so, see, this is showing right now that this man is violating this law, and this is a very serious law. Yeah, you're not supposed to talk to your parents-in-law. And so she knows this, because see, in Lakota society, long time ago, men take the small boys and they basically raise them, yeah, and throughout their growing years. So this is how boys, they learn things. Like, say for example, somebody dies, and they're taught about what that means. Yeah, what happens? Where does this? They learn about the soul, stuff like this, and where it's gonna go and stuff like that. When somebody's born, they learn about that. They learn how to become emotionally mature. I mean, they become emotionally mature at a very young age. Yeah, and the same thing is happening to the girls. They're raised by the women, and they're taught the same things from the female perspective. Okay? So by the time young people are about 15 years old, they're both really emotionally secure. They're very emotionally developed and mentally stable. Yeah? And because, they're living the star knowledge concept, so they know about all these kind of things. So they know the traditions as well. So they know at a young age that when you get married, you don't talk to your parents-in-law. You know this. You see it happening in other people. Yeah, you see your relatives when they get married, and then the new law that they have to follow. And with brothers and sisters-in-law and cousins-in-law, you enter a joking relationship where you tease each other. And that's really funny. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But with parents-in-law, you don't talk. Yeah, that's a sign of respect. So this woman knows that. But remember, she's lost clarity. She's rationalized everything. Yeah, she saw human skeletons on the ground outside, but justified it by saying they're animal skeletons. That when they threw them out, they probably just they fell like that, so they just look like human skeletons. That's the way she rationalized it. Yeah. When she saw the second face, she rationalized that away, and now she's talking to her mother-in-law. She's breaking tradition, but she's rationalizing it away. You see, this is this. She was raised in a healthy way, but um, now it's come to she's been charmed by this guy, and the more time he spent, the more time she spent with him, the deeper she fell in this emotion, and she wanted to continue to feel that emotion, and she became dualistic. She started rationalizing everything away that should have been warnings, red flags telling her, hey, something is wrong. Instead, she just rationalized it away. So she's breaking traditions, yeah, and she thinks it's okay because she's rationalizing it. Yeah, she's finding a reason for it to break it. But like I said, by the time a healthy woman, when she saw the skeletons outside, she would have ran for her life. She wouldn't have gotten this far because she knows something is wrong. He might say, at this point, he might have said, no, wait, I can explain. He said, a lot of my people were here, he might say, but they must have been attacked by the enemy. And they just, there were so many people killed that they just left everything and left. That's probably who these are. See, that might be a reason, yeah? But that could explain that, but still, the fact that, she has to now talk to her mother-in-law, that should be the next red flag that's saying something's not right. So even if he could explain those other things, you cannot violate this law of talking to your parents-in-law. There's no excuse for, even if somebody's dying, you can't talk to them. You cannot talk to them. You have to just find another way to deal with it. That's how serious this is. So you don't get left alone with your parents-in-law. That's the rule. Nobody observes that today, so that's why there's so much trouble. Just like this woman, yeah, she's rationalizing everything away. She's just breaking traditions. She was raised in a healthy way. She knows the traditions, but she's breaking them, and she's justifying it because she has no clarity. Yeah, she's become dualistic. So the man is gone, and now the woman, the old lady, we'll say mother-in-law, okay? The mother-in-law tells the woman that he's going to eat you. She said, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to look at what direction he went, and then I'll help you escape. So the woman says, okay. So the old lady goes outside and she looks, she knows how to track, so she realizes what direction her son went. And then she goes back and tells the woman, she said, okay, he went that direction. So she said, go this other direction. There's another way to cross the river. She said, it's not going to be far. You can swim across. She said, it's not going to be deep, so don't worry. So just get out of here, she said, because he's going to kill you, and he's going to cut you up, or he might have me cut you up, and then he's going to make a soup, and he's going to eat you. He said, the kettle of boiling water. She said, there's nothing in there. I'm supposed to throw you in there. So that's that's what he's waiting for. So she said that the plants that he's going to get, they're going to knock you out. They're going to make you go unconscious. And when you're unconscious, that's when, either he or I or both of us are going to cut you up into pieces, and then I have to make you into a soup, and then he's going to eat you up. And that's what wakes her up. Yeah, and it's like, oh my God, and so then the mother-in-law gives this lady some dried food to take with her, and to so that she'll be able to eat something on the way back. And she said, "Don't worry, this is real deer meat." She said, "This is not human meat." She said, "I don't eat it." She said, "He eats it, and he eats it up." She said, "And I have to get my own food." She said, "I'm his prisoner." She said, "I'm his mother, but he's made me his prisoner. I can't escape, but I can help you," she said. And so the girl says, "Okay." And she said, maybe I can have my people come and rescue you." And the mother-in-law says, "Don't worry about me. Just get you out of here. That's most important," she said. So the lady takes off. Yeah, she follows the mother-in-law's directions. She gets to that river, but just before she arrives there, the elk man's standing there. He just shows up out of nowhere. He's there. And he says, "Where are you going?" Real friendly, yeah. "Where are you going?" And she said, "I was looking for some timsila that you could put in the soup that for your mom." And he says, "Oh, okay." And so they said, "So let's go look for some." So he says, "I know some on the hillside. We can hunt some timsila there." That's what they say, yeah, in the Indian world. When you hear Indians today say, "We're going digging for timsila," that's don't go with them, because they might find some, but they might not be ripe. They'd be too small. Yeah, somebody who's really good at timsila is a turnip. You put it in the soup, and it really adds a wonderful flavor to the soup. Yeah, it's an old spice that we use. But when somebody says, "I'm going timsila hunting, you want to come?" Go with them. They're good. They know what they're doing. Yeah, because they like to call it hunting. Yeah, in a way, it is kind of hunting, because you have to look for the top. Yeah, because it's under the ground. The turnip is under the ground, so you have to know what the flowers are going to look like up on top. So you have to go find that, and people who are good at that see that's why they like to say they're hunting for it. Yeah, I went with my mother was really good at this, so she taught me how. Yeah, so I'm an expert timsila hunter. Put that on my CV, yeah, on my what you call it, resume. Professional timsila hunter. Special skills. Shoot. Anyway, back to the story. So they go and find some timsila, and then they find a whole bunch, yeah, and they braid it together. So it looks like a big hair braid. And then they bring it back to the teepee, and then the mother-in-law realizes, oh no, she didn't make it. So then they continue making the soup. So the mother-in-law says, "Yeah, the soup is gonna. It's good that you found some timsila, because it's gonna take a long time, yeah, to boil and stuff like that." So then the man says, "Okay, maybe I'll find some rice." He said he said some wild rice that grows by some certain rivers. Yeah, so I'm gonna go. That wild rice should really taste good with this soup. So the mother-in-law says, "Okay." So he takes off. Now the mother-in-law doesn't know what to do because, if she tracks him, it doesn't matter where he goes. It doesn't matter where the girl goes, that he's gonna find her. Yeah, because he has a good sense of smell. He's the elk man. Yeah. So they're like, geez, what do we do? And the girl, the wife says, "Don't worry, I'm just gonna go back to that place where we crossed, and if he finds me, I'll just have to deal with it." She said. So the mother-in-law says, "Okay." So the wife takes off, and then she goes into the trees. And she's running, and something comes up from behind her really fast, and it's her husband. And he says, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I know what you are." She said, "You're a monster." She said. And then the man says, "Oh, shut up." And he ties her up and takes her back to the teepee. And then he ties her on the ground. Yes, her he spreads her arms and legs apart. Yeah, and then he ties her down to the ground using these wooden stakes. And then he ties her hair to the he spreads her hair really apart too. Yes, and ties it to teepee poles. So she's really tied down to the ground to make sure she doesn't escape. And so then he takes off, and he wants his mother to come with him. Yeah, because he doesn't trust. He's figured out that the mother is helping her out. So this time he takes the mother with him. So she's sitting there. I mean, she's laying on the ground like that, and she doesn't know what to do, because if he finds that plant, he's gonna make her go unconscious, and then she's not even gonna know. Yeah, that she's gonna be cut up and made into soup. So she's starting to cry, kind of quietly, and here she hears some noises where her feet are. Yeah, towards the teepee, and so she stops crying, and she hears some sound like this. It's kind of like that. So she's like, "What is that?" And here a head peeks in, and it's a beaver. Yeah, and so the beaver, he they don't say anything because it's animal. Yeah, so the beaver is just continuing to do that, and then a second one comes in. So they come inside the teepee, and they eat at the ropes where her feet and her arms and her head are tied down, and her body too, her torso. Yeah, and then they cut away her hair where where her hair is tied to the teepee poles. Yeah, they're able to loosen her hair out, and so she sits up, and one of the beavers looks up at her, and with his tail he motions like, "Come here, follow us," using his tail. Yeah. Put a little humor in the story. So she says, "Okay." So they go out through that teepee hole, and she follows them. Yeah. So they get to a different part of the river, and so one then goes in front of her, and the other one standing behind her. The one that's in front of her starts to build a dam. Yeah. And the one behind her pushes her with his nose to go, to follow the one in front. So she follows the one in front. And meanwhile, as they get out into the water, the one that's behind her starts to take the dam apart. They're making a dam, yeah. So the one in front is building a dam, and the one behind is taking it apart, yeah. He's taking it apart and handing the sticks to the one in front. So when the girl figures out what's going on, she helps the one in the back. yeah, to take apart what the guy's putting together, and then so he's always putting things together, yeah, and the one behind is taking it apart and giving the sticks to the one in the front. So they this way it looks like they're walking across the water, yeah, and it's a really far, wide part of the river. They chose not to. The beavers chose not to cross where it's close, yeah, where the shoreline is close to the other side. They chose a part that's really far. There's a reason why, yeah. The elk can't go that far, yeah. The elk can only swim so far, then it's gonna drown. So that's why they chose a really far. A part of the water where it's the other side is way in the heck over there, way over there. That's how you say it, yeah? Way over there. Gakia, you say it like that, Lakota. Then you have to use your mouth and your lips. You're pointing with your lips in that direction, yeah. Because in Lakota tradition, you're not supposed to point because something might be standing there. Not a ghost, but see, there's creatures that were created since the beginning of the universe. Since the beginning of the earth. There's creatures that were created by the sun, by the wind, and the earth and the mountains. And some of these creatures, they vibrate at a different frequency than we do. See, we're vibrating all the time, yeah. And these other creatures, they vibrate at different frequencies, so we can't see them, but they are there. So if we point at them, we might be disrespecting them. So that's why we're not supposed to point. That's so you use your mouth instead. Way over there, over there. You use your lips and point in that direction. Ka kia. He u. Hey yonke. Ka kia. Hey yonke. It's way over there. Oh, shoot. I can just visualize it. I'm doing that, yeah? I'm doing that, the body language right now. So too bad there's no webcam. Anyway, so they get towards the middle. And by that time, the elkman realizes what happened, yeah, that the girl escaped. So he tries to go up to catch them, yeah? But he can't because it's too far apart, and he gets tired. Remember, it's the elk man, and the elk can't swim that far, so he turns around. Yeah, he has to turn around, otherwise he's gonna drown. So the elk man turns around. He's stomping around on the other side. He's all mad. He's running up and down the shoreline, but he can't find a place, and he realizes that if he goes, to find that place where they originally crossed, by that time she's going to be with her family, and she's going to tell them about him. And so if he went after her, they're going to be ready for him. And plus, remember, the elk dreamers are here now. Yeah, so they're most likely every camp has at least one elk dreamer. And so she will tell him. And so even if he made it to them, the elk dreamer is going to be waiting for him to destroy him. Yeah, to balance the energy out, to neutralize the unhealthy energy. So he decides to just let her go. Yeah, he's just going to let it be. So they get to the other side, and the beavers, see, they're taking a different route. So the beavers then take her close to the village where she's from, and then they chatter away, and so she thanks them, and they let her hug them, yeah, because these are wild animals, and so then the beavers, go their merry way back to the water. And see, the animals, they're powerful people. show respect to them. They helped this girl out once she realized that she needed to escape. Yeah, they came to her rescue, and so she made it back to the people, and they were all happy, yeah, to see her. And she told them what happened. And boy, they were in awe. Yeah, and they were even happier that she survived. And so the old women that were skeptical, they went up to her and she said, "Now you're one of us. You're Winuch Jala." See, a lot of people think Winuch Jala means old lady. No, it doesn't. Yeah, a Winuch Jala is a woman that possesses certain kind of wisdom. Yeah, that not all old people have this. Okay. Same thing for men. Sometimes, see, for men the word is wichach jala, and it's the same definition. It's a man who has a special kind of wisdom, and you don't have to be old to have that. So today, a lot of people they misunderstand these two words. They say winuch jala means the old lady, and wichach jala means the old man, but no, it doesn't. Yeah, it's a man and a woman that have a special kind of wisdom. And sometimes people get that at a young age. Yeah, some people understand that when their parents die, especially their mother. When their mother dies and they really cry, yeah, and then you have mourn for a year, and then you come to a certain understanding. Then, they have that wisdom. So that's wichachchala for men and winuchchala for women. So now she knows. She knows what it is. Yeah, she knows what unhealthiness is. She knows what an elkman is at that point. So now she's been on that road, and now they'll consider the marriage divorced because the woman just have to say it's over, and that's a divorce. Yeah. So this kind of woman is really wise, and she will marry again, but she's gonna be very wise in her choice. So this kind of woman, when she does marry again, her husband is gonna be one hell of a guy. Yeah, like attracts like. Yeah, she woke up. She snapped out of the illness of being enchanted, yeah, by the elkman. She snapped out of it on her own. That's why I said they have a special kind of wisdom. You have to do it on your own. You can't, people can just jump and shout at you, and their faces are just red, and they're saying, "What's wrong with you? Can't you see? He's gonna eat you. What's wrong with you? Or okay, look at all these things. Look at all this evidence. He's a bad guy." But a woman that's under him is just she's going to rational. "Oh, but I'm special. I'm different. He's not going to do that to me. These women weren't good enough, but I'm better than them." See, she's going to always rationalize herself like that. So that's why it's very important for these kind of women, these kind of victims, to wake up on their own, and then they see, and then they escape. And see, things will come to them to help them because they put it in motion. I need to escape. I want to live. And I know this is a bad situation, and I want to live. And see, when they're doing this, they're setting the ball in motion for something to happen that will come in their favor. And for this lady, it was those two beavers that came to help her. Yeah. So you will find a way out when you wake up. You will find a way. You've already put it in motion when you've woken up and you said to yourself, "I want to live. I want to be away from this area. I want to live. I want to have a life." That alone is going to put things in your path that will help you. That's what we learn. See, that's why I said it's a special kind of wisdom. Now she's really this wise person. Now she knows what unhealthiness is. Now she knows what real love is, and she knows what addiction to false love is. She understands that. She's really healthy now, very emotionally strong. She can recognize the Alchemist very easy. Yeah, and she knows that. She just pushes him away. Yeah. So that means the man she does choose for her husband is going to be one hell of a fantastic man. Because like attracts like. Yeah. So this is a typical version of a Alchemist story. Yeah. And there's a whole bunch. This is just one. Yeah. There's all kinds of Alchemist stories, and they're all vicious. Yeah. This to me is one of the most vicious ones. Yeah. That she sees all these skeletons outside, and she knows. You know, I mean, she sees they're human, but she rationalizes it away. Oh, they're animal skeletons. They just fell like that, so that she's really rationalizing. Yeah, gee, many crackers. Yeah, see, all those. There was a whole bunch of skeletons. These were all the women that he ate. Yeah, do you see what I mean? This is what unhealthy relationships do to you know, this is what happens. You're oppressed to the point where you lose your life. Yeah. So you see how they have to be careful when somebody's all charming and stuff. You have to really watch them and see how they play out. If they're really nice, when they play out, it will show. But when it changes and they start losing their patience and stuff, then you know this is not a good man. Yeah, that's the Alchemist concept. Really vicious, yeah? and it's really a scary thing. Yeah, and it goes to show you what can happen when you become addicted to an emotion that involves another person. That you'll do all kinds of stupid shit. Yeah, you will make really ridiculous decisions, but in your mind, you don't see it that way because you don't have clarity. So you think that everything you're doing is right, but you don't have clarity because you're addicted to an emotion, and you want to stay in that emotion. You'll do whatever you can to stay in that emotion. That's addiction. Everybody around you can see that you're making a horrible mistake, but yet you think you're making the right one. You're blinded because of duality. So the Alchemist has a strong power of duality, and he uses it to his advantage to get women, and then ruins their lives, devours them. In some stories the old lady that you saw in the story, that was his first wife. That she was a young woman when he first married her, and he made her his slave. So he continues to devour other women as a long time goes by, and he stays the same age. It almost has this vampire kind of concept to it. Yeah? It's really wicked. Anywho, that's why it's very, very important to be emotionally healthy. Yeah? And in duality, there is no emotional development. Christianity is a dualistic thing, and there's no emotional development there. So Christianity fits hand in hand with the Alchemist concept. This is why the churches did not want us to know what these things were, because it's the same frequency.